talk to you. You're interview number 5, but you're definitely not the least. And one of the things I'm excited to talk to you about is we're a little bit less on the technical side, more on the mental and the fun side. I think that it's going to hopefully be an entertaining conversation for everyone watching. So thank you so much for joining me. Do you mind kind of telling people a little bit about yourself and giving us a brief little intro?
For sure, yeah. So my name is Earl Kapule. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy to always share things that I've learned in the solar industry. So I started solar back in 2014 with no sales experience. My experience is a carpenter, 6 years, but coming into this industry, I had no experience, no background at all. And yeah, now I run my own solar sales marketing company in multiple states, and I train people throughout the nation on how to sell solar based on mindset and skill set.
Cool. Very cool. So one of the things that when I was obviously researching you, so I've been following you for a while, but I remember when I was like looking into your background, I was like, okay, carpenter. I was like, oh, exercise background, oh, solar, and then you're also you're a guy who when I first got into TikTok, I found you on TikTok, and I was like, dude, this guy just like has the most amount of energy. It seems to be doing everything. So definitely a unique background for sure. So let's go into that a little bit, because it wasn't necessarily something I was going to go into this early, but when we're talking about TikTok, obviously TikTok is kind of a fun platform. There's a lot of younger people there. So it might not necessarily be the most useful for like people in the solar industry, but tell us about what you have found when it comes to creating content in general.
Yep. So when it comes to content creation, I started getting heavily into social media marketing probably 2 or 3 years ago. And it all started with listening and following Gary Vee. And his example is when Vine came out, he tried it out. A lot of people got famous on it, but it kind of flopped. But he always talks about how there's always a new platform coming out. And every time the new ones come out, you get it, you learn it, and you use it to study the way people operate on social media platforms, because people download it for entertainment, for engagement, and also they also buy from people on there. And you have the opportunity to become an influencer through these platforms. So because he's tried almost every platform since Google and YouTube way back in the day, and he started out that early, he tried all the platforms. So he's the one who originally kind of got my attention when it came to TikTok. And he talked about how it was just lip syncing, it was just dancing for a long time. It's been around since 2014 or earlier, but nobody's known about it until like the quarantine, probably around that time. That's when everybody jumped on. And so I started using it back in November, and I put one video up there, and within a week it got 500,000 views.
Wow.
It was just a video of a dog doing some tricks at Universal Studio. It was video, and he was doing some tricks, and it was a funny show, but it was 60 seconds, and it went semi-viral within a week. And so I said, wow, there's something here, right? Like the organic traffic is crazy. So I tried some solar videos. They got some likes, got some views, not a whole lot because people aren't on there for that, like you said. But it's a long game. So it's not a short game. With social media, it's not about getting results instantly and making sales right away. It's about building a brand, building a name, and getting yourself out there, because social media can put you in front of hundreds and thousands of people in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah, it's more about it's more top of mind. It's like it's not even in the funnel, like we're top of funnel, lower funnel. It's like they're up here somewhere where they might be in the funnel one day. And if they find you entertaining, if they're a follower of you, and then at some point in 2 years, we're like, hey, I'm actually interested in solar. I know that guy I follow on TikTok. He's a solar guy. I should ask him some questions. And obviously it's a very long-term thing, but it's also fun. I mean, it's great to the marketer's playground where you can go there and try to figure out what works with the younger audience. And for anyone who's watching this, if you ever take a dive, you'll never feel as old as I did. Like I never thought I was old until I spent like a couple of days on TikTok, and then I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on with the world? Great. So one of the main things I like is you're all about mindset. Like even you're wearing a hat right now, it's gratitude mindset. Can you tell us a little bit, like what parts of your mindset have been the most helpful for you as a solar professional?
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, starting out with no experience, last night I was actually thinking about this, preparing training for my team next week. And the four things that I can say I had coming into this industry was hard work ethic, patience, the willingness to learn, and be consistent. So with those four things, which almost anybody can have without any experience in any industry, by applying those four things mentally, those are all mental things: to work hard, to be patient, to be consistent, and to be willing to learn. Those are all mindset things. And with those four things, I was able to learn a lot in a short amount of time. I was able to apply it through hard work and consistently, and I was patient, knowing that it would all pay off in the end. So those are the four most important things to me when it comes to being successful in this industry. If you're missing any of those four, you're gonna have a hard time. But it's all mental, because a lot of things happen in this industry. It's more mental than anything else. And a lot of people can't handle the mental part of it, so they don't improve their mindset. So they struggle and they struggle and they struggle, and they wonder why. A lot of times, the main reason is that they're not strengthening their mindset.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah. So what is kind of a nice little segue or transition into talking about like habits? Like what specific habits do you use to kind of make sure that you're in the right place to be successful and to kind of do you do like a daily check-in? Like tell us about what kind of habits you use to stay on top of that.
For sure. I actually just made a TikTok video this morning about energy. So one of the most important things to me is my energy, and a lot of people would agree. So as soon as you wake up, you have to look at how much energy you have. You have to be able to self-regulate. In this industry, in this kind of position, you need to be able to self-regulate. So first, you need to know how much energy you have in the beginning of your day. Analyze, ask yourself, where am I on the energy scale? If it's low, then you need to do something to increase it before you begin your day. So the first thing is I check with myself, where am I at? The second thing I do is I practice gratitude. So I think about 5 to 10 things, or I spend 5 to 10 minutes just thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for in my life. And what that's doing is raising my energy levels, and it's shifting my perspective onto the things that make me happy and away from things that may bring stress or worry. Because most people wake up and think about their bills and all their problems. So by redirecting your thoughts at the beginning of your day, you're going to have a much better day. Most people start off with a negative thought, and the rest of the day is negative. So you can't get up and start doing work and doing other things if you're in a negative state. So I spend time, you can call it meditation, whatever you want to call it. I just think about what I'm thinking about, and then I redirect it to something positive. There are ways to do that, but you need to do it every single day. You need to be consistent with that. And then I do some exercise. So I do some mental exercises in the morning, then I get some physical exercise, and then I plan out my day.
Yeah, I think having a plan for your day is probably one of the most important recommendations I would have for anybody, because I think it's easy, especially for people like us that are entrepreneurs who maybe don't have the accountability or the structure that other people have in other industries or with typical jobs. It's
Right.
easy for us to get up and say, oh, well, I don't really I don't know what my plan is yet for today, so I don't really have
Right.
you don't have a reason to jump out of bed. But
Right.
when you have an idea like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, but if you can actually get yourself excited about it, like the night before,
Yep.
it's I haven't nailed the habit necessarily, but I love occasionally where I wake up and I feel like it's Christmas morning, you get all excited about
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So yeah, like, you hit the nail on the head. Most people don't have a plan. So when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And so we only have a limited amount of energy per day. And if you're not planning out where you're going to spend and invest your energy, then you're just wasting it. Because it's better to invest all your energy into like one place instead of spreading it out. Just like with real investments, if you find a good place to put your investment, your time and your energy, is going to give you a big return. But most people spend their time and energy on a lot of little things that don't bring a return. You might get a good feeling from doing it, but it's not bringing any returns. It's just you're wasting it.
Oh, especially at times like this, where
Yeah.
I feel like every single person that I have ever encountered is posting about things on social media and things that, it's very, especially when we're talking about anything that's political or nationals, people are very, they're very passionate about what it is that they're talking about. Anytime you get people that are passionate, there's a lot of debate that goes on. But I have found that typically I think of myself as someone who's in a good mindset most of the time, and I'm able to ignore most of that. But at times like this, it does get really, really hard. So do you have any tips for a guy like me to kind of tune out all the noise and to kind of focus on what kind of work you do? Like, tell me about what it is that you do.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, everywhere you look, you're going to find negativity. It's hard to get away from it, right? And especially with social media, I hear it from a lot of different people, and a lot of them take breaks and they get off of social media. For me, the way I see it is every time I go on social media, I want to create more than I consume. So I'm not a consumer of social media and everything that's on there. The reason I'm on there is to learn more about the people that follow me, more about just the market, and figure out ways I can provide more value to them. I'm not there to consume all the content that's there. One of the tips I've given people is when you see, if your feed has a lot of negative posts, then you should get rid of those people that are popping up on your newsfeed, or on the specific posts that talk about politics or things that are negative that you're not interested in consuming every day. You can hit the tab. There's a 3-dotted tab on the right side, and you can say, don't show me any more posts like this. And it's a small tool that most people aren't aware of, and they're just being fed all this negativity every single day. If you don't want to see that, then you have the option to opt out. So you don't have to leave social media altogether, because social media can be super powerful. It can help your business. It can help you network and meet people. I see it as an amazing tool that helps my business and just helps me in life in general. Mm-hmm. So if I see it that way, I'm going to make sure I'm also not getting negative stuff coming my way. So I follow a lot of positive people online, so that all I see in my feed is positive stuff. So I see motivational stuff. I see people that if they do talk about those things, they talk about it in a positive way. So
it goes into I mean, it's kind of similar to how the famous quote, the 5 people you surround yourself with. And obviously social media is a much bigger circle than that. But it's the same thing, is if if you surround yourself with negative people, it's going to make you more negative. If you surround yourself with positive people, it's going to make you more positive. One of the quotes that I love it's actually, I forgot where originally, it was like from Kanye West or something. And he was like, this is a tool. And he said, people need to start treating this like a tool. Like you wouldn't walk around and go to the bus stop with a hammer in your hand, holding a hammer just constantly in front of your face. So people, I think, have to start being more mindful about how they use social media and using it as a tool for your business, but then also as kind of like a habit builder and helping you to, once again, maintain a positive mindset. I think that's something that everyone needs to learn, because I mean, that's some of the most brilliant minds in the world have figured out how to program these things to keep us distracted. Like, that's the whole point of them. So we have to make sure that we're actively working on avoiding that. So one of the things that I'm excited to talk to you about is health and fitness. And the reason that I'm excited about that is because my undergrad degree was actually in exercise physiology. So obviously, as a marketing guy in the solar space, I'm putting my degree to some really great work, and still paying off those student loans. But regardless, tell us about how do you think your health and fitness has impacted your solar business, and what kind of things do you do to stay on top of it, even when things are really, really busy, like when you're going to appointment and your life is hectic? How do you find time, and how do you schedule time to take care of your body? For sure.
Health is probably one of the most important things. One of my things that I've done in the past is I'm a lifestyle coach, and so I went to a school in Northern California that taught us how to prevent, stop, and reverse many lifestyle diseases through natural remedies, through diet, exercise, mental exercises, a lot of different things. And so coming into this industry, right up, within the first few months, I could tell that this was going to be a mentally challenging industry. And so I started applying all those things that I've learned. So that was the one thing that has helped me a lot to go faster, to learn more, and to stay positive throughout everything. I mean, in the beginning, I had to stay positive, but even more so in the last few months with everything happening, I had to stay positive in order to continue to grow and get bigger. So it's important. It's not optional. I don't see it as something optional. I see it as something that's necessary. So every day I have to do it. If I go more than 2 days without exercising, I feel sluggish, slower. My mind is not as clear. But when I'm consistent and I don't miss, my mind is much more clear, that I can handle all the negativity that's going to come my way, rude customers, no's, a lot of things that come with this industry. they're much easier to handle when my health is taken care of. So eating right, sleeping well, exercising, all of those things.
Yeah.
Just getting into a routine. Once you have your own routine, then it's easier to take care of your health, which will help you in every area of life.
Awesome. Yeah. Earlier you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk. Obviously, most anyone who's even slightly entrepreneurial knows about Gary Vee, and they've watched Gary Vee and they've heard Gary Vee. And would you say he's one of the most? Who do you think is the most impactful inspiration that you have found that has helped you, and that you're happy to follow, and because you're able to find value from them consistently? So I guess the real question is, which person do you think has had the biggest impact on your solar business specifically?
So when it comes to entrepreneur, like an entrepreneur or someone, a mentor that I follow, I don't have any like personal entrepreneur mentors. I have a lot of people I follow online. So Gary Vee definitely would be one on the top of the list, because I started watching him a lot a few years back when I was starting to do social media content. So he's helped me a lot with the social media content, gratitude, staying positive. And then personally, my wife helps me a lot as far as like approaching things from a different standpoint and using, a lot of things that I never thought about before. So we have a lot of conversation, deep conversations, and just reflecting on certain things in life. It's helped me apply it in my business. There's a lot of things we've separated from business and personal life, but I think it's all together, because what we do in this industry is help people. We want to connect with people. And so you can't separate those two. So, but I learned a lot from my wife as far as how to communicate to people, emotions and empathy and things like that. But Gary Vee's helped me on the social media side for sure.
So I'm chuckling because I think, anyone who has ever had a wife, because I'm obviously married, and but yeah, wives do help you learn a little bit about communication. And as men, as men and as salespeople, I think a lot of times it's hard to kind of put ourselves in other people's shoes, and I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to communicating. And so that's insanely important. You seem like a guy who would probably have like a bajillion inspirational quotes. I'm a guy. I have a notebook here, and I'm always writing stuff down. And I have a list, one of the pages in my notebook where I just write down quotes that I have, that I come across that I find interesting and fascinating. What quote do you think, or do you have a favorite quote? And what quote do you think is, what quote is your favorite?
Like you said, I have a bajillion, tons of quotes I've learned over the years that I love and have just memorized and love to share with people. So I'd like to share two. So there's one, this is my favorite, and then there's one that I just found like 2 days ago that I really like. But the first one, favorite quote I'd say of all time, whenever I think of quotes, it pops right into my head, is from Zig Ziglar. And he said, you can have everything you want in life if you will just help enough other people get what they want in life. And when I first read it, and now when I think about it, they mean two totally different things. And so I've learned over the last probably almost 10 years since I first heard that quote, that literally everything you do for other people comes right back to you. And the more people you can help, the more value is going to come back to you. So the more value you put out into the world, the more value comes back to you. And so if you help one person, you're going to get a certain amount of value. If you help 10 people, you're going to get more value come back to you. And so, especially in this industry, it's really about helping people. If you can always focus on, I'm here to help people and impact people, then you'll have no problem succeeding, as long as that's your focus. But as long as money and riches and all these things are your focus, you're going to have a tough time. But as long as you're thinking about how can I help other people get what they want, that's how you're going to get what you want. So that's my favorite of all time. You were going to say something?
Oh no, I was going to say I love that, because that's one that I think I think I even posted about it just a few months ago, about how I don't think I ever really understood that quote as well as when I started to find success. Because what my marketing company does is, we're trying to be a little bit different in that we're focused on being a kind of like a revenue sharing model, where I don't believe that if you don't find results or success, I don't really think I should get paid necessarily. I think it's a partnership where we should both be working towards the same goal. Right. But so that what that meant was I was providing a lot of value, like providing people with insane amounts of value. and with hopes that together we're going to be able to accomplish our goals. And because of that, my business was able to grow, and I was able to find more success than I ever thought possible. But it was more because I talked to hundreds and hundreds of solar pros, and my goal was to, what can I do to serve you? How can I help? What is it that you're looking for? And then from there, just focusing on that, and then the value and all the financial stuff that I was, obviously everyone loves, that comes with it. But I think I had a better appreciation for that quote once I kind of changed my business model, and it really opened my eyes, because I think that's one of my favorites. So you're going to mention another one that I think you said maybe you just heard a few days ago. Yeah.
So I did a training the other day on energy, on our energy every day, knowing where our energy is at and where we want to put it in order to receive what we want. So it says everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not a philosophy. This is physics. Albert Einstein. And for that quote, I resonated with it a couple of days ago, because about a year ago now is when I first started implementing gratitude intentionally every single day. And I started practicing it as something, as a part of my lifestyle, rather than a result of things happening. Because most people think gratitude is something that happens after something good happens. I'm going to feel grateful when I graduate from high school, when I make this sale, all of that stuff. But at some point I learned that gratitude is something you create, and you are. It doesn't happen to you. You are grateful, and you become grateful. And so as I did that, just like this quote said, I started to match the frequency of gratitude. There's a certain frequency you vibrate at when you're at a happier state of mind. That's why they say, I have a high, or I'm high, on life, and then you're low. When you're sad, you're low. So your frequency is low. So with this quote, it says, match the frequency of the life you want. Everything you want, imagine if you already had it, you'd be super happy. Now, imagine how it would feel. That's gratitude. And then you operate from that place. As you do that, all those things start to come into your life. You start to attract it. Success and everything you want comes from operating from a happy place.
So I can't believe it, because when we were talking about, obviously, your first quote, I looked at my list and I was like, okay. I was like, oh, well, this one is actually one that I almost mentioned, and it's by Albert Einstein, but it's strive not to be a success, but to be of value.
Yes.
Now you have to mention Einstein. So I think quotes are really helpful in helping us to maintain that frequency. And I think what we kind of just touched on is a lot of people, specifically in sales, and even especially in solar sales, is they do focus too much on the financials, and they focus less on serving. And the customers sense that, and it makes it much harder when they know that you're just thinking about your commission. It's not going to come off as authentic, and you're going to have a hard time to book an appointment. You're going to have a harder time to close the deal. And it's just if you can focus on being their advocate, I mean, that's something that obviously is huge. Great, man. Well, let's. One last question I have for you is, we're almost halfway through 2020, and I know the first half of 2020 has been insane, to say the least. It's been the craziest year I think I can ever remember. If you were to give anybody, anyone that possibly will end up watching this, if you were to give them any tips as far as how to find success in how to make the next 6 months more successful than the last 6 months, what would be the main tip that you would give them?
Yep. So we kind of covered some of it, is having more self-awareness of where you're at right now, and then deciding where you want to go in the next 6 months, making it clear, drawing a map out. So in the next 6 months, I want to make this many sales, talk to this many people. I mean, be specific and write it out. Because there was a study done at Harvard that 3% of people wrote down their goals with a plan, and that 3% made 10 times as much as the 97%. Now, whether that's true or not, what I do know is people that actually have goals and written down with plans accomplish them more likely than not. And those that only have goals in their head don't go as far, because they get distracted very easily. So by having them written down and reviewing them on a daily basis, it's going to help you stay on track, stay consistent, and not get distracted. Because most people don't hit their goals because they get distracted. So it's all about staying on track, staying focused, staying present through the things we've already discussed, through mindset, through exercise, all these things. These are tiny little things we all know we need to do, but we don't do them every day. We only do them when we feel like doing it. So
yeah, and it's funny because it goes back to kind of our how we both have a background in fitness, and I was a personal trainer, I was a fitness manager. The thing that drives me absolutely insane when I was a trainer was like New Year's resolutions. Is people literally wait until New Year's to like get serious about whatever their goal is, and then they're only serious about it for 2 weeks because they don't actually stick with it. And there's a lot that goes into it, but I think one of the things that goes with writing your goals is understanding that the first 6 months are over. We have the next 6 months. What is your goal for this week? What is the goal for this month? What is the goal for the 6 months? And then actually writing all that down. Super important in business, super important in health. I think we can all agree, and I think that's something that I know I need to do a better job, and I'm sure most people watching are, because I don't think we all have our act together quite as well as you, and that's why obviously you're the person I'm talking to. So before we go, I just want to give you the opportunity. If anyone had any questions or wanted to talk to you about your business or your story or what it is that you do, or they wanted to possibly book you for speaking at an event or anything like that, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
They can definitely reach out to me on Facebook. So my name, Earl Kapule, you can start following me there. I try to post content on a daily basis. I also have a Facebook group called The Gratitude Mindset, where I talk about mindset quite a bit. So if you're interested in learning more about mindset, especially the gratitude mindset, go there and follow us, join the group. But yeah, just messaging me on Facebook, reaching out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time again. I'm a member of that group, and once again, it goes back to what we were talking about surrounding yourself with the right vibes, getting yourself at the right frequency, and maybe getting away from some of those negative groups that make your blood boil, getting into groups that just put more positivity out in the world. I think that's going to do us all a lot of good. Thank you so much for your time. Shout out to Trevor Van Sickle. He said, "What's up, guys?" Shout out to Matt Burkhalter, who was our guest on number 2. And he says that your TikTok is fire. And I agree as well. So I hope that everyone watching this goes and gives Earl a follow on all the platforms. And thank you for your time, man. I hope you have an awesome rest of your week.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you, guys.